You know and I know everything happens in South Florida. What you might not know is the connection between this landmark building, a cartoon, and a drug smuggling, airplane racing pilot who died under mysterious circumstances. Legend has it this 8-story cylindrical high-rise at the crossroads of Oakland Park Boulevard and Federal Highway in Oakland Park was inspired by the Jetsons. But architect Dan Duckham disagrees.
The Jetsons is a cartoon, and that building was not intended to be a cartoon. It was a serious piece of architecture at remodeling and giving a new life and a little bit of more drama than most office buildings have.
Oh, it had drama, all right. Built in the mid-1960s, the Ken building was named after Ken and Ann Bernstein. He was a former Marine fighter pilot, airline owner, drug smuggler, and developer. Over the years, the Ken building was a postcard favorite and home to hotspot restaurants and nightclubs that included the Chateau Madrid, the Rooftop, and the hot chocolate that Duckham designed when he renovated the outdated, run-down, virtually empty building in the 1990s.
The building got in such bad shape, and it never had a sprinkler system because it wasn't required back in, and it got in such bad shape that it was condemned.
Until developer Steve Vincent came along and saved the landmark.
Out of about 20 bids, he was the only one that wanted to keep the building and remodel it. The other 19 wanted to tear it down.
Vincent got it for about $1.5 million. Duckham did the renovations, but he also did some work for Ken Bernstein.
I was not his architect for the Ken building, but he was a client of mine on several other projects.
This is the love nest that Bernstein had built for his mistress. There's an entrance around back so he could come and go without attracting much attention. Nowadays, it's just rental apartments.
Ken Bernstein and Ann Bernstein. Ann was his wife. He also had a girlfriend who was his secretary in his office named Susie. And he built that apartment building. It had 6 units. They were rental. And then there was a little house, you might call it, that he wanted for his secretary. Called the pumpkin shell. Chuckled a little bit, and he said, put her in a pumpkin shell, and then we kept her very well.
Bernstein would marry Susie and live in a sprawling, secluded estate on Middle River Drive in Fort Lauderdale. It had 6 bedrooms, an indoor shooting range, lions patrolling the property, and a sign that read, "Trespassers will be eaten." It almost happened, too, when a 130-pound lioness named Sonia jumped a neighbor's fence and bit then 3-year-old Ryan Murphy on the neck in 1974. At least 2 other children had been bitten before the big cat was sent away. Bernstein put the house up for sale while entangled in legal troubles. At least 3 of his Florida Airways planes crashed with drugs aboard. He survived a crash in Texas, leased another plane, and flew away. It all caught up with him, though, and it looked like Bernstein would be going to prison. But while out on appeal for his conviction and sentence, Bernstein offered to testify against elected officials and drug dealers that he worked with. That went over real well, and despite the expected response, he flew to California to race his P-51 Mustang named Miss Susie Q. But he crashed in the Mojave Desert during practice runs in June 1976. The only thing rescue crews found was his left thumb among the charred wreckage. People thought he faked his death to avoid prison and escape potential retribution for his testimony in pending drug trials against former colleagues, but dental records proved he was indeed dead. His accused drug buddies were acquitted.
It was an amazing story, his life and all the stories about him and the way he crashed his plane and was killed.
But the Ken building survived and remains a noble monument with a remarkable past. With another chapter of South Florida's dubious history, I'm Roustan for the Sun Sentinel.